My wife's movie club watched the 2005 Disney version of the musical Once Upon a Mattress. If you are unaware, the musical is based on the Hans Christian Andersen story, The Princess and the Pea. The original story typically has been interpreted as a lesson of don't judge others by appearances, or don't judge others by the wrong things. But there are other aspects of the story that are hard to understand or justify. With an effort to explain the simple story further, the musical was created. To me, the 2005 version is a lesson in casting and direction. The musical's story originates in 1958, I believe, and the story has a cursed father, a domineering mother who fights against her son marrying anyone. Despite the facade of having high standards with the tagline of "a genuine princess is exceedingly rare," she is portrayed as very proper but manipulative, and does everything to ensure her prince son does not marry. Her motives are not clear, but there's a hint of wanting to maintain control of the kingdom, and also some unusual affection towards her son. The captain of the guard and the pregnant Lady Larkin, who desire to be married, are added to the story to extend the time of the musical and add importance to the prince getting married, because there's a law that no one can be married until he is. The rest is an attempt to explain the Princess and the Pea story, and there are some obvious deviations from the original story. Casting and direction. The Queen, played by Carol Burnett, is a domineering and has no refinement. The facade of high standards is forgotten in this musical version and is portrayed as lip service excuse only. While I think Carol Burnett is one of the strongest performers in this version, she doesn't really fit the role. She's better suited as the Princess Winifred, which she did in the original, or one of the earlier versions in 1964. The Prince Dauntless is portrayed as an effeminate man with infant mentality. In this 2005 version, he is neither sympathetic or empathetic. He's weak and immature in a way that makes his character almost unlikable, at least to me. Instead of respectful, dutiful son, torn between his mother's wishes and his own, he comes across as mentally challenged. No courage, no strength, no coherent thought. He does, of course, at the end, stand up to his mother, and it kind of fills out a character. His boldness is not from growth or developments. It's just a plot necessity. It has to happen so the plot can happen. Princess Winifred is played by Tracy Ullman, which you might think is a good choice at first, but she kind of falls flat, as most everybody else does in this musical. Carol Burnett played this part, as I previously mentioned, and having seen her in the role, I think the role was made for her. It's so strikingly different. She's younger, obviously, when she's doing it, and she's just so perfect for the role. Everything speaks like they wrote this for her specifically. So if you want to watch this show, I would recommend the 1964 version, starring Carol Burnett as the Princess Winifred. Lady Larkin character, for me, in this 2000 version is really hard to watch. Every line is delivered like a scratch on a chalkboard. I admit this is my viewpoint only. I have heard, she's very popular, she's a great actress, whatever you want to say. I'm just saying, for me, watching this, it was painful. Another thing to mention here is some of the direction is kind of strange. They choose to portray an unmarried prince and princess with a 42-year-old man and a 46-year-old woman as the princess. Just seemed like a strange choice. Part of the plot for the princess to fail her test is they try to get her tired so she'll sleep. So they have this big dance number, which is followed by a wizard dressed as a bird to sing the princess to sleep. And this may be from the original story, but it is just creepy as all get out. This man dressed up like a bird trying to... I'm saying, if they're trying to get her to sleep, that was the worst possible direction they could have gone. I mean, that guy being there singing is super creepy, and it would keep anyone awake just out of sheer terror. In summary, I think this show fails and falls flat, not because of the source material is weak, which it is, but because the casting and or performance puts an additional strain on the production. The story is not strong enough to carry the poor decisions and performances, so every unbelievable character makes it all that harder to enjoy. True to the theme of the short story and the musical, Once Upon a Mattress reminds us that a genuine princess or performer is exceedingly rare, and small things like a P or a famous person instead of the correct person can make a big difference. I would not recommend the 2000 version of this musical, but there are many people who love this musical. So ultimately, don't judge the book by its cover. Don't judge by the wrong criteria and experience the P for yourself. One small addition, not from the made-for-TV movie, but from the original story. In the very short story by Hans Christian Andersen, it was the prince who was the picky one and wanted the real princess. But it's the queen who set up the sensitivity test with the 20 mattresses and the pea. The princess is doubted because she has been soaked in a rainstorm and her appearance looks, not as expected. And after the test is complete, she complains about the terrible night of sleep because of some hard object in the bed. Maybe this is Hans Christian Andersen's commentary on the noble class. A real princess is whiny, or that the real princess is incapable of adapting to even the smallest of hardships, or maybe that the snobby prince deserves an unpleasable princess. Now, I have been told the story doesn't translate well into English, so there may be something lost in translation. Or maybe the original moral is both don't judge by appearances and the real royalty or real princesses are sensitive to the needs of others. Again, maybe lost in translation. Anyway, what did you think of the made-for-TV movie or the story?